Hello again, Delvers. Welcome back to the Vaults Remastered, a story of taking a 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons homebrewed world and converting it over to a Pathfinder 2nd edition remastered game. Today's episode is the second part of a little mini series, I guess we're calling this, of taking a 5th edition D&D race known as the Kitine and converting it into a Pathfinder Ancestry. Although I would say converting is probably a strong word because this race does not even exist in 5th edition. It is a monster, a spidery, creepy, crawly monstrosity created as a scientific love child by wicked drow doing some flesh warping alchemical experimentation on their prisoners, of course. So, one of my players for my remastering game, which is starting in about a week from now, was looking at my list of available ancestries and came across the Kitine, aka Spiderfolk. And that was all that I had written for this particular ancestry because it was more of a stretch goal. Well, now I have to stretch because he's like, "Oh, that thing sounds cool. I have an idea for that." And I was like, "Okay, sure. I'll figure something out." So here we are, part two. Oh, what a tangled web! And the first part of my conversion is, as you can see, it is not a Kitine. It has a new Vaults version name, Pathfinder version name. I am calling it the Weavling, and we will be designing this ancestry today. So here's where we're at. Here's what happened. At the end of last episode, I informed you there were several resources I needed to dig through to find information about chitines. And I also found in Pathfinder an ancestry known as the Anati, which were spidery. At least that was one of their forms. And so I went and dug out my resources for the 3rd edition Monsters of Faerun, the 4th edition Monster Manual 3, and 5th edition's Volo's Guide. Grabbed the Kitine information from those sources, took the Anati information from Pathfinder's Mwangi, or Mwangai, Expanse, and fed the beast. I gave the lore the information from these sources to Kathy, my AI muse, ChatGPT. And I also fed her my own resources from my game world. And I asked her to take all this lore, all this information, all of my concepts for the vaults, and weave together an ancestry that follows Pathfinder 2nd Edition format and rules, which you see here on my template. And we went section by section, taking all these chunks of information and crafted a lore section, perceptions, description, society, beliefs, naming system, as well as adventuring rationales. Put it all together, blended it up, and said, help. And we, after, I don't know, 24 hours or so of working on it, not continuously, of course, but banged out something yesterday. And so today I want to show you what we came up with. So without further chit chat paddywhack, give the spider the bone. Here's what we've got: the Weavling Ancestry. So I'm going to go ahead and read through this. By the way, yet again, my man Sal, my artistic muse as well, is knocking some of these images out of the park for these Weavlings. Not completely like he was doing with the Wormseed by Dragonborn, but he's really darn close with some of these. So I'm still working on them, but it's pretty good. I'm pretty happy with a few of these. So here you go. Weavling Ancestry. What do we come up with? Where are we at? And is the player going to like this? Are they going to love it? Let's check. Lore. In the shadow depths of the vaults, the Weavlings tell a tale of creation, manipulation, and rebellion. A story woven from the threads of eldritch alchemy, divine intrigue, and the struggle for identity. Born from the desperate experiments of the Mor'shael, moon elves turned dark by the tarnishing, the Weavlings were intended as vessels of salvation, a means to combat the insidious corruption infecting their creators. Guided by an Earth Fae advisor who befriended the naive moon elves and taught them how to survive the vaults, the Mor'shael delved into ancient and dangerous flesh warping arts, seeking the aid of Miska, a powerful Earth Fae queen they believed held the key to their salvation. Time out real quick. Miska, that is a name taken from, I think, second edition D&D, the wolf spider. This is my version, my adaptation of wolf. So I do have Drow, the Mor'shael, but I'm giving you some of their backstory. They were silver elves, moon elves who got sucked down into my Darklands world and have been slowly getting tainted, corrupted by the darkness. They call it the tarnishing, which has taken their used to be nice, polished, silvery flesh and has turned it charcoaly black, blotched. Their hair is bleaching, and they're slowly corrupting into, I guess, evil, although they wouldn't think of it that way. But anyway, in the game world, Miska represents their goddess, this entity, this Fae queen. They believe she is an Earth Fae, and they are now pledging some worship in her direction, forsaking the nature goddess Tempesti, who they normally would have worshipped had they still been on the surface, but having been trapped down here for decades, going on centuries now. They're turning to alternative divine inspiration, directed by this wonderfully helpful advisor. I think you kind of know where that's going. Anyway, back to the story. However, the Weavlings emerged not as saviors, but as symbols of the Mor'shael's failure. Twisted by chaotic influences they did not understand, they were cast aside, spidery abominations from the envisioned purified elves. In this rejection, they found an unexpected freedom. The Weavlings embraced their unique nature, blending the arachnid features bestowed by their arcane origins with the humanoid form of elves necessary for navigating a world that feared their appearance. Those Weavlings who survived the Mor'shael's attempt at purging their mistake fled into the isolation of the cavern's ceilings, far out of reach of their elven creators, where they established secluded enclaves shrouded in mystery and spun silk. Here they cultivated a society that mirrored the complexities of their existence, part Fae grace, part arachnid instinct, and wholly unique. While some clung to the distorted remnants of their intended purpose, worshipping Miska as their divine patron, others sought new paths, forging identities that transcended the intentions of their creators. The Weavling's identity is thus a tapestry of conflict and duality, born of alchemy and chaos, rejected by their creators, yet resilient in their quest for a place in the world. They are a people defined not by their origins, but by their journey, a journey from the depths of the vaults to the myriad possibilities that lie beyond. If you want to play a character who embodies the grace and mystery of a hidden world, a resilient and agile explorer born from a tapestry of eldritch, alchemy, and natural instinct, with a deep connection to the ancient secrets of the vaults and the skill to navigate its intricate landscapes, then you should play a Weavling. Perspectives. You might embrace your dual nature, skillfully navigate between your Fae grace and arachnid instincts, using your unique abilities to adapt to both the dangers and wonders of the vaults. You might seek solitude in heights, prefer the secluded safety of the cavern ceilings, create an intricate webbed sanctuaries that reflect your intricate nature. You might honor Miska with reverence or resentment. Depending on your perspective, you might venerate Miska as a divine figure or question the role she plays in your cursed existence. Others probably view you with caution and curiosity. Others often approach you with a mix of wariness due to your spider-like appearance and intrigue about your mysterious origins and abilities. Others probably misunderstand your allegiances. Many might wrongly assume that your loyalty lies with the chaotic forces that influence your creation or confuse your worship of Miska with alignment to the Mor'shael's goals. Others probably seek your knowledge of the vaults, recognizing your adaptability and survival skills honed in the vaults. Adventurers and scholars alike may seek your guidance or partnership and exploring the uncharted depths of this underground world. So these creatures, these weavlings, they have kind of this dual nature with being created by, they actually would have been elves who were suffering this tarnishing, and the Mor'shael elves were attempting to cure themselves using these flesh warping alchemy experiments. They went horribly wrong, and this is what you get from laboratory failure. They tried to dispose of these mistakes, but weren't able to purge them all, and many escaped and have now been spreading and procreating. But they stay kind of hidden. They go up to the creepy the creepy top, creepy crawly top of the caverns, living up among the stalactites, where only the like the bat folk, the Banelagor, can reach normally. And they have set up, little colonies up there, dangling down and hooking prey. So they're kind of these creepy dudes. At the same time, they have these elvish fey origins. So it makes them, externally, they appear hideous, but internally, I think they have a lot of that, sort of that intelligence, or at least that natural, you know, naturey life kind of vibe to them. All right, description. Weavlings present a unique amalgamation of elven and arachnid characteristics. Typically standing around 4 to 5 feet tall, they possess a lithe, graceful form reminiscent of their elven heritage, overlaid with distinctive spider-like features. Their skin is often a palette of earthen tones. I think it should be exoskeleton, because they definitely do not have flesh. Their exoskeleton is often a palette of earthen tones, ranging from deep grays to muted browns, and is adorned with subtle, intricate patterns that can resemble delicate webbing or the mottled textures of stone. Multiple eyes, usually 4 to 6, glitter with an eldritch sheen, set above a mouth that blends elven finesse with slight mandibular hints of their arachnid form. Might just be straight up fangs. Weavlings mature at a rate similar to elves, but have a slightly shorter lifespan, typically living up to 500 years. I might want to shorten it. I almost kind of feel like they should have like a almost desperately short life. Let's just do that right now. Weavlings mature at a rate similar to elves. No, I don't know. I gotta rethink this. They more like they would live kind of like humans. In their youth, their spider-like qualities are more pronounced, with a more pronounced chitinous sheen, with a there we go. With a chitinous sheen of their skin and more vibrant eye colors. As they age, these features soften, with their elven characteristics becoming more prominent. Elder weavlings often have a wealth of hair that ranges from silky strands to thin, wispy threads, echoing the appearance of spider silk. So they kind of start off with that, more hideous, I guess, form, perhaps even to this degree. And as they age, they get a little bit more elvish feature. The Mor'shael features. I kind of like that. They're almost becoming kind of like the opposite of the Mor'shael, who are going from their silvery elvish heritage and almost de-evolving into these dark, ebony flesh with pale white hair. Your typical drow look. Meanwhile, these guys are kind of starting off hideous and morphing perhaps into a more beautiful form, the moon elf. That could create some conflict. I kind of like that idea. I might want to spice that up a little bit more. Anyway, continuing. Significant sexual dimorphism marks the weavling ancestry. Larger and more dominant, female weavlings often stand at a medium height, typically around 5 to 6. I don't know if it's going to be up to 6. Around 5 to 5.5, maybe? 5.5 feet. They exhibit more robust and pronounced arachnid features, with a sturdier build and more vibrant skin patterns. Female weavlings are often the leaders in their communities, reflecting the matriarchal structure of many spider species. Generally smaller, so these guys would be small, size and game. Male weavlings are usually around 3 to 4 feet. I think it should be like 3.5. I don't think it should be as tiny as 3 feet. So 3.5 to 4 feet tall, placing them in the small size category. I don't think I need the technical jargon here yet. That's going to be in the mechanics section. There we go. They have a slenderer build, and their elven traits are more prominent, providing them with a slightly more humanoid appearance than their female counterparts. Male weavlings, while agile and skilled, often occupy less dominant roles within their society. Weavlings show a wide range of natural variation, particularly in skin patterns and eye configurations. These variations can range from camouflage like patterns aiding in stealth to more striking designs used in social interactions. The arrangement of their eyes can differ significantly, with some having a few large, expressive eyes, while others have a more even spread of smaller eyes. The color and texture of their hair, like silk, also vary, often signaling age, gender, and social status. Society. Weavling society, nascent yet rapidly evolving, reflects their unique circumstances and origins. Formed in the aftermath of the rejection by the Mor'shael, the Weavlings have adapted to life in the vaults by forging communities among the stalactites, far from the reach of their former oppressors. These settlements, suspended high above the cavern floors, showcase the Weavlings' ingenuity and resilience. Central to Weavling society is their remarkable use of silk in construction. Weavlings utilize their innate ability to produce silk, akin to their spider counterparts, to create complex webbed structures that blend seamlessly with the stalactites. These settlements are marvels of organic architecture, featuring living quarters, communal spaces, and storerooms, all suspended in a delicate balance. The silk, strong and versatile, is also used to craft bridges and ladders connecting different parts of their community and facilitating movement in their vertical world. The shadow of Choldrith influence looms over Weavling society. If you don't know, Choldrith are a variant of the Kitines who are, I guess, more evil. They have more of a priestly role, a leader role. And so I'm using that concept and I'm carrying it over, and I'm going to adapt it as you'll see as we go. But just in case you're wondering where that name's coming from, I need to retcon that into something more vaults appropriate, non D&D OGL stuff. While many Weavlings are devoted to finding their own path, some enclaves have fallen under the sway of Choldriths. These communities often exhibit a more hierarchical and aggressive structure, with the Choldriths acting as leaders or spiritual guides. The tension between the Choldrith influenced factions and independent Weavlings adds a layer of complexity to their societal dynamics. Reflecting the matriarchal tendencies inherent in their spider-like nature, Weavling communities are typically led by female elders. These leaders are chosen not only for their strength and size, but also for their wisdom and ability to navigate the complexities of Weavling existence. Male Weavlings, while often smaller and less dominant, contribute significantly to the community through their skills in scouting, weaving, and diplomacy. Despite the hardships of their origin, Weavling culture is rich and vibrant. They have developed intricate forms of art and expression, using their silk to create not only functional items, but also beautiful tapestries that depict their history and legends. Dance and storytelling are integral to their cultural practices, often involving elaborate performances on their webbed structures, which are illuminated by the bioluminescent flora and fauna of the vaults. The Weavlings' relationship with the Mor'shael remains fraught with tension and mistrust. While some Weavlings harbor a desire for reconciliation and understanding, others are staunchly independent, preferring to keep their distance from their creators. This divide is often a topic of debate within their communities, reflecting the broader struggle of the Weavlings to define their identity in the shadow of their creation. I don't think too many of the Mor'shael would want to have a reconciliation. They would see these things as mistakes. I mean, they would see these things as worse mistakes and worse infection than the tarnishing, than the birth of Spitespawn. There's a lot of bad stuff happening to these moon elves that got sucked down into this game world for reasons tied into Miska. I don't want to put too many spoilers in here because this is a pretty thick plot thread, I should say, within my games. I'm being a little bit cryptic here. Beliefs. Revered as a symbol of resilience and the spiritual mother of the race, Miska holds a central place in Weavling worship. Her worshippers view her as a guiding force, embodying the ideals of strength, adaptability, and natural harmony of the vaults. Rituals in her honor often involve silk weaving and offerings made in webbed sanctuaries. What I'm not sure is coming out anywhere, I have to double check, is that Miska herself is in the form of a spider. Again, think the Lolth goddess, the demon behind the Drow in 5th edition and earlier editions of D&D. So that is the main kind of concept. And then Miska is the wolf spider in older versions. I think Greyhawk is when it first came out. And it was a male. But anyway, I'm kind of blending, well, not kind of, I'm blending those two concepts together and warping her into a primordial in the game world who actually has a dual nature, which kind of explains the dual nature of these weavlings. Miska, the wolf spider version, was daughter of Vulculus, one of my gods, the god of earth and volcanoes and magma and that sort of thing, and was like favored daughter, right? Spoiled or rotten. And she was a well-known or just very keen, not an adventurer, but an explorer. And she was, set off by her father to go explore the Darklands, to map all the different tunnels and caves and whatever else. Uh, most of it on the up and up. But during the conflicts between the gods and their children, the scions, the primordials, Miska was hidden and protected within a secret labyrinth deep within the world between worlds. And that is when she met the next entity that comes up in the next paragraph, which ultimately possessed her. So let's keep going. The chaotic influence of Ahriman is a contentious aspect of the Weavling belief. Some Weavlings, particularly those swayed by the Choldriths, might view Ahriman as a force of necessary chaos and transformation, embracing the more unpredictable and wild aspects of their nature. Others vehemently oppose his influence, seeing it as a corruptive force to be resisted. Now, Ahriman is a Pathfinder creation, and he would be a very powerful member of the Div Fiend family group. I think they live in, was it Abaddon? And evil genies. And in my game world, evil genies are everywhere. The Div are, one of the big groups here. And most of it is earth elemental, fire elemental stuff you'd find in the subterranean world as you get, closer to the core. So anyway, Ahriman, this powerful div, demon thing, is possessing Miska. Got inside of her in this labyrinth. And so when Miska emerges after this Scion war with the gods and their children, she is not right anymore, and ultimately leads Ahriman's attempt to conquer the entire world, which that gets put down by followers of all the gods and big old war, blah blah blah. This would have been a huge cataclysmic event that actually nearly split the world itself and actually caused a lot of the downfall here in the Darklands itself, and the big changes that led to the fall of the Worm Seed, the Dragonborn kingdom, and such. Anyway, those are a whole another set of stories. So this entity is this dual nature. We've got Miska / Lolth concept. We've got Ahriman fusing with that. So we've got the D&D and the Pathfinder kind of colliding here. And I'm going to have to do an entire primordial video on this because this is a major entity, a major power within the game world. So I need to really flesh this out. But kind of understand the backstory, what's going on here, you need to know some of the stuff. So that's a little bit of spoiler about what's happening in the lore behind this particular ancestry. In some Weavling enclaves, particularly those under the sway of the Choldriths, these beings are revered as spiritual guides or proxies for Miska. They often lead rituals and dictate religious practices, emphasizing the more aggressive and hierarchical aspects of the Weavling society. Their teachings might include the acceptance of chaos as a natural part of their life and the supremacy of the Weavlings as Miska's chosen people. A common philosophy among Weavlings is the pursuit of balance with the natural world. As beings born from a fusion of Mor'shael grace and arachnid instincts, Weavlings inherently possess a connection to the natural world. Their survival and flourishing in the vaults depend on understanding and respecting their environment. Given their origins in eldritch alchemy and the chaotic influence in their creation, given their origins in eldritch alchemy and the chaotic influence of their creation, on their creation, they recognize the importance of maintaining a delicate balance within the natural elements of their subterranean home. A second central philosophy revolves around community and cooperation. Emerging from a tumultuous past marked by rejection and survival, the Weavlings understand the value of unity and mutual support. Their society was built on the principles of working together to overcome challenges and provide for each other in a hostile environment. A final philosophy growing among the younger generation is the emphasis on personal resilience and self discovery. Having been created as tools for others' purposes and then rejected, many Weavlings embark on a journey of self discovery to understand their true nature and purpose. This journey is marked by resilience, the ability to adapt and thrive despite the chaotic and often hostile circumstances of their origins. I would say they were created as tools. Having been created as mistakes, uh, mistakes during attempts to cure their brethren and then rejected. Maybe they even volunteered. I'm wondering about that. Yeah, how about this? Having volunteered to be the test subjects during attempts to cure their brethren and then rejected, many Weavlings embark on a journey of self-discovery to understand their true nature and purpose. So, this could create obviously animosity, right? Because they're going to go, well, what the hell? We volunteered, try to help. Things went horribly wrong, and then you just threw us out like trash, like garbage. I like that. I like that better than sort of just being, dominated or something like that. They're like, hey, we'll help. They were Mor'shael. They were these elves that are being tainted. And so they were like, hey, sign us up for this new drug. We want to help. We want to be test subjects. We want to get cured. All right, edicts. Honor the web of life. Respect and protect the natural ecosystems of the vaults. This includes preserving the intricate webbed structures, conserving natural resources, and maintaining the balance with other creatures in the vaults. Embrace and aid your community. Actively contribute to the well being of your community. This can involve participating in communal rituals, assisting in the construction and maintenance of silk structures, and supporting those in need. Seek wisdom and understanding. Pursue knowledge and wisdom, especially regarding the Weavling's origins and nature of Miska and Ahriman, and the mysteries of the vaults. I don't think I need to add that. Let's delete that. This edict encourages exploration, learning, and the sharing of knowledge within the community. Anathemas. Desecrate sacred webs, deliberately damaging or destroying the webbed sanctuaries, silk constructions, or natural habitats within the vaults is a grave violation of Weavling beliefs. Betray your kin. Acts of betrayal against fellow Weavlings, especially those that endanger the community or undermine its values, are strictly forbidden. Succumb to chaos or tyranny. Willingly embracing the chaotic influence of Ahriman or submitting to the tyrannical rule of corrupted Choldriths goes against the core values of many Weavlings. This includes perpetuating chaos, engaging in unnecessary violence, or following dictates that harm the community. One thing I'm noticing here is that, a lot of this stuff. So, Kathy is the main, author of a lot of these things, and I'm editing and going back and forth with her to clarify. I'm just seeing she's kind of repeating herself a bit, and she's also locking into sort of the same basic idea and just puts it in multiple different sections. So that's going to have to get trimmed and edited. I think I can probably trim some of the stuff out earlier and make sure that whole Miska Ahriman lore appears in the very beginning. I think that'll make the rest of this flow better. So remove kind of some of this stuff from the very beginning and leave it here. And then inject that Ahriman Miska relationship, the whole labyrinth stuff. All right, let's continue. Naming. Weavling names are deeply rooted in their dual heritage, intertwining the elegance of their Mor'shael origins with the mystical and natural elements of their arachnid nature. Names often carry significant meanings, reflecting the individual's characteristics, the circumstances of their birth, or their role within the community. Many names are inspired by the characteristics of silk, the natural formations of the vaults, or arachnid traits. These names often embody qualities like strength, resilience, or grace. Titles in Weavling society often denote an individual's skill, occupation, or achievement. For example, a skilled silk weaver might be known as silk spinner, while a community leader might carry a title like web mother or stalactite sage. I don't like stalactite sage at all. Yeah, that's got to go. Come up with something else for that. Naming ceremonies are significant in Weavling culture, involving community elders and often taking place in sacred webbed chambers. Names are chosen not only by parents, but also involve input from elders or spiritual leaders, especially in communities that are influenced by these childrens. Sample names. We got male names: Arachnor, Webrin, Silkrin, Stalak. That's a little bit too obvious. Yeah, whenever she creates some weird names, some of them are kind of really just bludgeoning you over the head with how obvious they are. I do like this part though. Special considerations: size and gender. Reflecting the significant size difference in societal roles between the genders, male names often have a lighter, more agile connotation, while female names might imply strength and leadership. Choldrith influence. In communities under Choldrith influence, names might carry darker or more powerful undertones, aligning with the Choldrith's more aggressive and hierarchical nature. Okay, this is where you should have some examples. So I'm going to have to go back and refine some of this with Kathy there. Adventurers. Given their relatively recent emergence as a distinct ancestry, many Weavlings are naturally curious about the world outside their communities. They seek to understand their place in the broader context of the vaults and the surface world, driven by not the surface world at all, because they ain't gone in no surface world. Driven by a desire for knowledge and self-discovery. For Weavlings living under the oppressive rule of Choldriths, they may embark on adventures as a means of escape, craving freedom and a new life away from the rigid structures of their birth communities. Lastly, some Weavlings view adventuring as a way to protect their homeland. They venture out to confront threats, gather intelligence, or seek allies to safeguard the delicate ecosystems of the vaults. Another thing I'm kind of noticing is that I feel like she's saying the same basic pattern for adventures. So when I ask her, I say, hey Kathy, given what we now know about this ancestry, its lore, its history, religion, whatever, suggest some reasons why they would become adventurers. I just feel like she's giving me kind of the same answer, at least pretty close to. Oh, they want to protect their community. They're curious and want to learn stuff. I need something more specific to them, these spider folks. So I'm going to have to go back into that a little bit and just force her to really start to think about it. Why would these spidery creatures, something specific to their lore? So they might want to go out and confront threats, but maybe the threat should be, hey, they want to venture out and spy on the Mor'shael to make sure that they're not, coming for them or something like that, right? You could use examples like that. Or maybe they're on missions from Miska, or they're trying to find out more about this Miska, see if she's worthy or not, or they're worthy of her. I don't know. Among their webbed sanctuaries and echoing chambers, Weavlings cultivate unique skills and perspectives, which serve them well as adventurers. Those known as silk weavers are masters of their ancestral craft, creating everything from practical items to intricate art pieces with their silk. Such Weavlings might venture out into the world seeking rare materials to elevate their craft, or perhaps they're driven by a desire to share their artistry and cultural heritage beyond the bounds of their communities. Then there are the cavern scouts, Weavlings who have honed their natural agility and keen senses to navigate the treacherous landscapes of the vaults. Their deep understanding of the subterranean world makes them invaluable guides and explorers. Driven by a sense of adventure or a duty to protect their home from unseen threats, these scouts often find themselves on the frontiers of the known and the unknown. I kind of think part of this should be their deep understanding of the ceilings or whatever, the I don't even want to, how would you word that? Their deep understanding of the upper reaches, upper areas, I don't know, upper reaches of, kind of sounds oxymoronic, right? Their deep understanding of the upper reaches of their world, of the vaults, makes them invaluable guides and explorers, seeking knowledge of what lies at the upper edge, at the top of the massive caverns. I gotta reword this a little bit. Their deep understanding of the upper reaches of the vaults makes them invaluable guides and explorers, makes them invaluable as guides to explorers seeking knowledge of what lies in the upper shadows of the massive caverns. What lies in the upper shadows of the massive caverns? Something like that. Their understanding of the ceilings of the vaults makes them invaluable as guides to explorers seeking knowledge of what lies in the upper shadows of the massive caverns. Workable for now. Driven by a sense of adventure or a duty to protect their home, there we go again, from unseen threats, these scouts often find themselves on the frontiers of the known and the unknown. And for those drawn to the mysteries of their own existence and the enigmatic forces that shape them, these spiritual seekers embark on quests of enlightenment, searching for insights into the nature of Miska. So that's what I was thinking a little bit earlier there. The influence of Ahriman, or the deeper truths of their chaotic origins. Their journeys are as much about internal discovery as they are about external exploration. I almost feel like I could probably ditch most of this first paragraph and just use a lot of this. This paragraph is supposed to be talking about backgrounds, and instead it's more reasons for going out and explore. So I need to look at this a little bit more, clean this up. But anyway, let's keep going. Almost done here. The innate connection of Weavlings to the natural and mystical elements of the vaults makes the ranger class a natural fit for many. Weavling rangers are not just protectors of their enclaves, but also guardians of the delicate balance within the vaults. I think she's really pushing hard on this whole like nature lovers, They're out there protecting the vaults. I don't know, I kind of feel like they might be a bit scavengery and more so worried about their own safety, and they have to live up in the, upper levels a lot and stay away from, because, you know, at least half of their tribes are these small-sized males, and overall, they're kind of scrawny, spindly as an ancestry. So they wouldn't stand much of a chance if they were down on the ground. So I think them being up high is a big advantage, and that's about the major extent of their naturey loving, right? They're not wandering around picking shrooms off of every, cave floor they see. Now, maybe there's some weird stuff. This is kind of the cool idea that I'm starting to think here is that these upper levels, these upper reaches, these ceilings of the caves, what if they had their own like ecosystem up there? I mean, they probably do, right? So what's growing up there that's edible, so that they don't need to come down? And if they do come down, it's for quick, forays to grab some stuff and then, you know, zip line back up to the top. All right, let's continue. Their skills in tracking, survival, and combat prepare them to face the dangers that lurk in the depths and shadows. For those weavlings who grew up under the watchful eyes of Choldriths, or in more perilous regions of the vaults, the path of the rogue offers a way to harness their innate dexterity and cunning. These weavlings excel in using their stealth and agility to navigate the complex web of politics and danger in their societies, and they often find that these skills translate well into the life of an adventurer. Finally, the reverence for the natural world and the philosophical pursuit of balance leads some Weavlings to the path of the Druid. These Weavling Druids see themselves as caretakers of the Vault's ecosystem, seeking to maintain harmony and prevent the encroachment of chaos. Their deep bond with the natural elements of their subterranean home grants them unique powers and insights, making them formidable guardians of the natural order. Again, a really heavy emphasis on nature. We got rangers, we got druids. You know, I don't know, maybe, but I do really think that they don't have huge populations, so they're not going to be all over the place. The populations they have are going to stick to the ceilings, literally. So I'm not sure. Let me whistle. I'm not sure how much nature exploring kind of stuff they do. Maybe if this gets rewritten to emphasize the idea that the upper reaches themselves are the separate ecosystem, some delicate ecosystem up there where there's maybe, light from glowing crystals, and there's like silkworms that are dangling, and there's, dripping cave water coming down through the stalactites, like the little straws that are hanging off the ceilings. You know, flying creatures are living up there, whole separate ecosystem. Kind of thinking about like Amazonian rainforest type of thing, where you've got, your canopy level of the rainforest is completely different than what's down on the ground. So I kind of liken that as an idea to put in here, and I can also bring that out a bit with the with my Banelure, which I have already made, remastered. All right. Well, there you go. I mean, that's what Kathy and I were coming up with for the ancestry on this thing. I think did we? Yeah, and I'll conclude with this. We have basic mechanics as well. So let's take a look at the mechanics and see what you think about this. So with using all that lore, we then came up with this as the mechanical structure for this ancestry. So here we go. Let's wrap it up here. Rare. I think that goes without saying. If a player wants to play one of these things, yeah, definitely need GM permission. I probably should have said this from the get-go to the player. No, you can't play one. It's too rare. 6 hit points, they're kind of squishy. Step on them, right? Size, males are small, females are medium. I like that sexual dimorphism. I think is a huge thing. And most spider species are like this. Females much bigger, stronger than the males. They pretty much mate and then tear the males apart and eat them like black widows and things. Speed 25 feet. God, I can almost see them pushing them to 30 if necessary. But they are gonna have a climb speed, so I don't think I need to do that. Ability boost, dex, wisdom, and freebie, so they have to be nimble and quick. They're, going on spider webs and stuff along the ceiling. Wisdom, that ties into their just, awareness and survivability, which they would have had to have developed in order to start thriving. And then the flaw, strength makes sense to me. They're not physically, overpowering species. Maybe you could argue charisma. Yeah, they are kind of, I don't say, well, they're kind of ugly. I don't know if that necessarily ties it to charisma in the game terms, but it could. So you could maybe throw in charisma there. Languages, undercommon, and I think a lot of them would also know some Elvish from their olden days. Like if they were still the first generation, the ones that got mutated, they'd definitely be speaking Elvish. And then presumably they would probably teach some of that to their kids. Although I'm wondering if maybe this is some sort of Weavlingese type of Elvish, or maybe they have their own language that they're developing. I don't know. I'll kind of pencil that in. They speak a Weavling language, whatever that might be. Put a question mark. I was also thinking that maybe there's some sort of demony language because of Ahriman's influence in the culture, but I don't know if it's influential enough that it would be widespread to matter. Traits, Weavling, humanoid, duh. Then abilities. I think these guys should have dark vision, just straight up. Oh, and here's my first wording of the penalty. So check this out and see if you like it. So I've said this in my last 3 ancestry videos, Wormseed, the Ganesio, and the Zolgath, that having low light vision in the Darklands is no big thing. Pretty much everybody has that. So that's not a perk really to anybody. what is a perk would be dark vision, but dark vision is only one step up from just regular vision, which is low light vision in the game world. So even this isn't super special. There's going to be way more ancestries in my homebrew Darklands Vaults world having dark vision just right out of the gate as an ability than you'll see in Pathfinder, the core book, the core game. But anyway, dark vision. You see perfectly well in darkness and dim light. You can only see black and white, shades of gray, I guess. And then here's where I worded this. Let's see if this makes sense. However, you also suffer bright light sensitivity. And maybe this exists in the game, and I need to go look it up, but I was just trying to figure out how it would sound. So here's what I said. You might also suffer bright light sensitivity when entering an area of bright light or starting your turn in bright light. You must make a DC 10 flat check or be dazzled. If your check's successful, you're immune to the sensitivity for the next 10 minutes. So you can go into bright areas, like kind of get used to it for a little bit, and then within 10 minutes they'll start bugging you again. You gotta make another DC 10 flat check. Dazzled can make it so that you can't hit targets effectively. If you're dazzled, if my memory is correct, enemies are obscured to you. So you have a DC 5 flat check every time you want to attack something. And if you fail that, you miss automatically. It doesn't matter what you roll. So that's what the dazzle condition does. It's not, overpowering, gonna totally debilitate you, but it does create this problem, right? I mean, I might even just say you are dazzled when you're in areas of bright light. I think you maybe make a fort save. I don't know. It's got to be some check, and if you fail it, you're dazzled, and then you have this problem, this penalty. Excuse me. Let me swallow my water. A little better. Okay. Silk crafter. You're trained in crafting and gain the specialty crafting feat, weaving. If you are weaving with silk thread, your bonuses to craft using your feet are doubled. I think the specialty crafting allows you to apply a +1 to those crafting checks with weaving. But if you're master or whatever, it's like a +2. It's something like that. It's like a circumstance bonus. Um, but I'm also boosting that because if you were using like silk, it's like so natural to you. So your bonuses would be +2, +4 instead of the +1, +2. I don't think that's OP, right? I kind of like the idea that these guys, they can go and maybe earn some income by weaving, I don't know, scarves or something, baskets, whatever. And if it's silky stuff, they're like the masters. And then the last one, wall climber. You gain a climb speed equal to your base speed, so 25 feet. And then while you're climbing, you aren't flat-footed. I got this from the Anati, one of their feats they've got. However, you can't use weapons, shields, or other held items of any sort, and you are limited in what actions you can take that have the manipulate trait. And then I think in the actual Anati thing, they had some specifics here. But you can climb, right? And while you're climbing, you're not flat-footed, although it's not flat-footed anymore. What do they call it? You are not off guard, I think is what it's called now in the remaster. You aren't off guard, I believe is the new term when climbing. So enemies don't get, that +2 or whatever it is to hit you. However, while you're climbing, you can't have weapons, shields, and all this other stuff in your hands. Although, I mean, they do have more than. Well, the way I'm envisioning these creatures, they have kind of, dexterous fingers on 2 hands only, or 2 of their limbs, and then they have like kind of feet. Their other limbs, these spidery ones, are just these spidery, hideous things. They're not meant for anything special gripping things other than they can help balance as you're climbing, help stabilize you. There'll probably be some feats that'll make use of them, but just out of the box, they're not anything like you got 6 attacks every round or something like that. All right, so there you go. That, mein Freunds, is the current states of this ancestry. Next episode, we're going to go back to, not the basics, but we're going to go back and finish up the next part of this, which will be heritages. I don't know what heritages are going to be, other than I have a couple ideas. There's going to be something to do with the Choldrith, which are those pale white-ish ones. I had a picture of it in the document, if you caught it. And then there's going to be, I think, at least one that is more elfy looking. I don't think I have any. This would be like a Choldrith looking one here. I don't have any on the document that are, well, maybe this one, kind of elvish looking. So they have more, fair look to them. So they might be more magical. These guys would be more, I don't know, priestly somehow. And then I definitely want to have like the Ahriman touched, right? These chaosy, possessed demony types. So right there, I think I've got 3 of the heritages. Then I need 3 more. And for that, I'm probably going to go and look into the monster manuals from which this information came, because I know, for instance, the Monster Manual 3 had like 8 different Chitin monster types. So I think I'm going to go into there and take a look at that. Maybe the same in Monsters of Faerun here, the Monsters Compendium. I think they had a couple of variants. I don't think Volo doesn't have any, 5th edition in general does not have variants like they had back in the day, right? All the older editions had multiple variants of every monster out there, generally speaking, but 5e's like, no, all chitines are the same, and the DM can just, homebrew as they need on the fly, which I'm sure I can, but anyway, that's a whole nother conversation. So that's what I think. I'll go and look at Monster Manual 3, Monsters of Faerun. I don't think the Pathfinder Mwangi Expanse and the Inati is going to help me too much, but I might glance at that to see if there's an interesting heritage for that ancestry I might be able to adapt. So I'm going to get some ideas. I'm then going to take them in, feed the beast again, and ask Kathy to help come up with 6 new heritage feats or heritages. And then after that, I got to do all the feats. Set of ancestry feats, of course. I am going to use the Inati stuff for that. I'm going to try to convert and reskin as many of those as I can. Then I'm going to have some heritage feats once I know what the heritages are. And then the rest will be asking Kathy to help me come up with some, weirdo feats that would be appropriate for these guys. All right, well, there you go. That is that. That is Weaving the Weavling, the Ancestry. Hopefully there was some good information in here for you. Saw some of the strategies, some of the ideas. If you want to comment, please feel free. Put that down in the comment section. You want to like the vid, that's always appreciated. You want to subscribe to the channel, great. Do that, because then you'll get alerts when I come out with the next Weavling installment, which will probably be tomorrow, I'm hoping. Honestly, at this point, it's not as, it's a little bit faster, because the mechanic stuff, the number stuff, is easier to generate than lore and pictures and things. And anyway, subscribe, like, notification bell, the usual things for YouTube. Thanks for coming. Have yourself a good night. Take care. And if you're doing your own homebrew, good luck. Have fun. Bye.